I've got my hands on the Charvel Dimas Pro Mod bass. Let's take it for a spin. So, I wanted a little Steve Harris there for a minute, huh? But starting at the end and kind of working back with this bass, I think really it comes down to some combinations that are classic from obvious, the entire history of bass, but updated with some modern options and done in a combination that you won't always find. One thing that is immediate that's going to set this kind of apart, that's done in a couple of different series, but not always as a standard, is you have a P-style body, and this is most definitely a jazz-style neck. It's a pretty slim neck, and it's a 1.5 nut, so absolutely that jazz kind of feel, which I've always kind of leaned towards. I've always liked those series that leaned with a slimmer nut, faster neck, but put into a P bass body. I've always felt the jazz was a little unbalanced, but that's my opinion. But so right away we're starting off with that combination, and the other thing that sets it apart is having a P bass body that's got the obvious P in it, but we've also got the J. Again, another popular option that goes in with a number of different modern series, but not always a constant. Interesting here is we have a DiMarzio PJ set. This has been a really popular aftermarket set for, wow, I'm sure the 80s and maybe even further. And it's interesting to see them already on board. So to me, almost the Pro Mod is it's modded already, kind of like you bought a classic bass and you already mixed it up a little bit, put a different neck in it, threw in the aftermarket pickups. So having the PJ already on board is interesting, and unlike a lot of basses like Ps or jazz that'll come with kind of the bent plate bridge on here, we've got a high mass bridge that definitely adds a more solid feel and some girth to it. Now on the neck, we've got a really smooth satin finish, and interesting to the neck is it's roasted maple. You can see it has a really kind of rich blonde color to it, and the satin is done on it. I find the satin on a number of basses I've tried lately have been kind of gritty, almost sandpaper-ish, but this one is smooth, well done. And then you've got, again, classic options, the old heritage-style large tuning keys, but they aren't too weighty, and the bass balances really well. The secret sauce to me on this one definitely comes into the electronics package, and this is a step forward, something you're not going to see on the classic versions of this or even modern basses that are imitating those classics or in the heritage, is the electronics. I've used DiMarzios in a number of basses and things, and it's a great set, but I've never put them together with a preamp. So we have a volume, pan, and then a 3-band active EQ. In down position, there's a push-pull on the volume. In down position, that's going to give you active. So I think the normal state on it is to have the preamp in the circuit. Pull it up and you can go passive. So it's a cool option that it's not all the time. But you can drop it back out. The preamp most definitely has a color unto itself. We'll check it out here in just a second. But I was surprised at how much it enhances and what it does to this setup. Because again, DiMarzio PJ is a really classic setup. So I was a little skeptical on pairing it with a preamp or something that alters that sound. So we'll check it out and see what it does for that. Now on the back you do have the fast battery access and yeah, pretty simple workhorse style setup for the bass, but it's got some modern touches. A final finishing thing is it has lumen lace side dots, which glow in the dark, kind of an interesting option for, you know, being on stage, things like that. Again, just little modern touches here and there on familiar or classic builds. So let's give this a listen. Again, everything's set flat. And let me make sure all these pots have center detents so that at its normal state, you're at the detent and then you have boost and you also have cut. Same with the pan pot. So I'm going to leave everything center and let's see what we got here. Now let's take the preamp out. That's a pretty big difference. So you can hear right there the natural color of the preamp is from 0. With no adjustment, there is a difference in the sound right away from just running the PJ straight. So now let's take a look at the 3-band EQ and see what kind of boost and cut it gives us. So we'll start at the top here, and I'm going to dial it all the way in and then all the way at cut. So cut. Center, boost and cut. Cut. And let's go to our bass. Boost. Cut. Back to 0. So you can hear there's really a big range of what's available on here. There's a surprisingly wide Q on this one, so a lot of control can be done right from your bass. If you're into that, especially if you tour or play out a lot, you don't always have a lot of control over your sound, or you don't know what kind of stage rigs you're running into. I could see that being a real advantage, and being able to dial those things in quickly or adjust for a boomy amp one night, something that sucks the mids out another night. So great adjustability and things. And again, it took me a minute to kind of get my head around it because, like I said, I've used this pickup combination a number of times. And hearing it through a preamp was a first for me. So definitely something that sets this apart. And I think that's really kind of the special sauce of what's going on here. That the tone is really enhanced by this. And it kind of makes me want to grab a preamp and put it in the other basses that I have with the DiMarzios. So the other things that make, you know, short differences here and things, just to wrap up a couple other options, are that, well, one, that the tuning keys, although they're the large traditional style, as I said, the bass balances well. You grab it by the strap horn, it gets you right into that good headstock for the sky kind of thing. That's a great thing to know that it's balanced out well, and that they've used tuners light enough that you're not going to be constantly doing that, you know, head swinging for the floor thing. The other is that the neck has a compound radius, so it gets flatter as you go up, making top of the range playing more comfortable and easier to slide into. You can get all the way up to the top fret there, and it's pretty comfortable. You can see how my hand is on the back. I'm kind of cupping the block there, but easy access there. So that's a nice kind of change from some P basses that I've had where you really got to kind of reach over to get up there if you're soloing. And the last that, again, is something I've really become an addict to, is having the spoke wheel style truss rod at the end of the neck. I really like that. I've really gotten away from the truss rods where you have to pull the cover off and up at the top and everything, doing micro kind of adjustments here and there, especially when you're on the road or something. You just don't have time for it and all that thing. Being able to just drop a tool in there and make a quick adjustment while you're strung up and under tension, and then being able to just roll with it, that's great. So really like that one. And thank God it's not the old style where you have the truss rod down inside and you have to remove the entire neck. What a beast. So I think the Pro Mod is kind of, it's a good title for it because it seems like what a pro might mod out their bass with after they bought a simple one to eventually get it to really being the player's instrument they wanted. Heavier bridge, aftermarket pickups, adding a preamp into it, swapping out a jazz for a P neck. Seems like the way a lot of players might go. And to have that stock and already done, that's pretty cool. So that's going to wrap this one up. As always, let me know your thoughts. Do you like a more traditional style bass like this and kind of the Fender history, but juiced up and already done like this, or you prefer getting something that you get to mod yourself? Always interested to see what you think. Hit me up in the comments below, and I will see you on the next one.